Before you were called to produce, to grind, to hustle, to perform, love whispered your name into being. Before you were demanded to be exhausted and full of angst and hustle and grief and perfectionism, love called you here. And love is calling you here right now, calling you into this moment with me. Not out of obligation, not out of performance, not out of the push of the January scream to get busy with new goals and production. Love called you here to remember that you are sacred and your life is sacred. Love is calling you here to live the sacred way. And this way is how you get to remember and return to the truth of your holy and sacred nature. Because that is who you are. Breathe into that truth with me right now. So don't drink the Kool-Aid, the capitalist Kool-Aid that is running freely this January. Instead, I invite you to align with the winter invitation to slow and quiet and still and remember to come back to the truth of yourself. I invite you to do that this January with Dr. Reverend Raymond Anderson, who will be visiting and covering while I am away in Egypt on sacred retreat. I invite you to take a 4-week class to develop your own sacred rest process, a practice rooted in Sabbath, a Jewish tradition that we will be teaching with Clarissa Crow, one of our licensed spiritual practitioners, who has an incredible rest practice that she will be sharing with you. And you can do all of this in person in the Albuquerque area, or you can do it on Zoom from wherever you are. And you can learn more about it on our website, ABQCSL.org. I am delighted to return to you in February with hopefully fruits and sacred technologies from the Holy Land of Egypt. I will be going live if I'm able, if the Wi-Fi angels make it possible, right here on YouTube. So you can subscribe and know when I am jumping on the camera, if I'm able to, on my trip all month long. Do what you can do to slow down. Return to the truth of yourself. This is the prayer I'm holding for you. You were not born to center your entire existence on work and labor. You were born to heal, to grow, to be of service to yourself and your community, to practice, to experiment, to create, to dream, and to connect. This is from Tricia Hersey's book on Rest is Resistance. And she is not alone in this teaching and this understanding. Jesus of Nazareth knew this. Every time he retreated into the wilderness to rest and commune with the divine, to gather the wisdom of what is the next right thing for him to do. Harriet Tubman knew this when she had sleeping spells, or when she laid down literally under the trees in the moonlight to wait for the guidance for the next right path to freedom. The desert mothers and fathers of the early Christian tradition knew this when they left the hustle and bustle and craziness of the village and went out into the desert to live a life that was more aligned with the truth of their own nature. Martin Luther King Jr. knew this when he based an entire civil rights movement on a contemplative, prayerful practice that guided the steps of that movement. Mystics across every tradition for millennia, since the beginning of time, all the way back to the shamans and the animist traditions of the indigenous ways, knew about the wisdom of the seasons' teachings and the invitations they bring to us, which is what winter is inviting us to right now. That you and I were made to be connected to the divinity in our own natures. We were designed to contribute unique gifts. And this revolution that I'm inviting us into for the entirety of the year, the spiritual rebellion that requires courage and kinship, that I want us to gather together to be involved in and participate in and get rooted in for the year of 2026 begins with rest, begins with slowing down enough and connecting with the truth of who we are enough to retreat from the noise and the chaos and the craziness that often comes with January, and come back to the truth of ourselves. Because a rebellion is not a rebellion that is one made of violence or made of disconnection and separation and us and them. I'm talking about a spiritual rebellion that rebels against the pull of the illness of modern life and brings us back to our true nature, that lets us rebel against urgency and hustle and noise of competition and separation, that rebels with the courage that we need to meet this moment as spiritual beings, that we rebel with kinship and connection to one another, that brings us clarity to move in right action, to have intentions that really serve the truth of us, of you and I, and love that is life itself. And a rebellion that serves and honors the longing in you and me, that quiet whisper, that still small voice that says, love, there's more for you in this life than what you may have been told is available to you. This is the rebellion that I am calling us to, a rebellion to live the sacred way, to make use of the spiritual technologies that lie in the practice of silence and stillness and communing with the divine in your own being. This is what leads to the life you deserve, to the transformation and liberation that is available to all of us when we live the sacred way. It is a returning and a remembering that is available in this winter season. You know, I've been spending time with a lot of young people in this season, and in this holiday season especially. And what has become really clear to me is they are living in a reality that no generation before them has ever had to face. The kind of burden that they are facing in an economy that was absolutely not built for them to thrive, a world on fire with climate catastrophe and internalized pressure they feel to save the world, the weight of rents and basic living costs that they cannot afford, the constant enforced demand they live under to produce and make a way when there doesn't seem to be a way, and to grind and hustle to just survive. And they're doing it all on camera, reporting on social media, kind of 24/7, like an hour by hour, sometimes minute by minute posting of all of this. And it's a modern illness. It is a psychic kind of threat that they live under that has never been this heavy before for any generation, which is one of the reasons why I feel so called to bring us into an actual rebellion against all of that crazy and bring us back to the sacred ground of our own true and holy natures. Because I think it is the only way to meet this, to unburden ourselves from the expectations that are simply too heavy to bear, from a way of living that is so far from the truth of us, that is out of alignment to such a degree that we must put it down and pick up the sacred technologies and tools that are available to us when we live the sacred way, when we prioritize our spiritual living above any other kind of living. Anything that is out of alignment with the truth of our nature must be put down. And that's what a holy rebellion asks of you. that you are in a moment right now in this season, in this winter season, in the, Northern Hemisphere, that is poised to invite you into this sacred life, into this holy ground, by rejecting hustle and grind culture, by rejecting urgency and saying, yes, I will slow down. I will return to the truth of myself in this quiet, slower season. I will put down what is not mine to carry, and I will take up the call of my soul. One of the teachers we could turn to in this season are the fruit tree. The fruit tree is doing a thing that it does every season, as it laid down its leaves in the fall to blanket the earth, to warm its own roots, to nourish itself with the very leaves it had grown that it drops now into the soil. To collaborate with the soil, with the bacteria, with the worms, with the process of death itself, turning what was once nourishment into a new form of nourishment as it dies to itself and makes its way into new life. And this dormant season of winter for the tree is critical so that it can once again bear fruit in the spring. And this fruit that it bears, it has been uniquely designed to bear. This one fruit that this fruit tree will bear. And so I ask you, beloved, do you know what is the fruit that you were designed to bear? Listen, listen. Do you know what you must drop in order to nourish your roots? Listen, listen. Do you know who and what you need to collaborate with in order to thrive? Listen, listen. And do you know what kind of rest and dormancy your contribution requires of you? Listen, listen. The stillness and the quiet of winter invites you to listen for these answers. And the practice of this listening for these answers puts you on the path of living the sacred way. And acting on the answers that you receive make you a spiritual rebel, because it will put you out of the way of the crazy, of the capitalism that is in full force and the systems that are crumbling all around, who are desperately clinging and insisting that you participate in this way of being that is absolutely not divine. And this brings you and I to the front lines of the holy revolution that love has called us to. The holy revolution that is saying, forget all of those old ways and those systems that we thought were necessary for thriving, and return to truth. And listen, listen. And feel for the next right step, for the intention and the vision, for the possibilities that love is calling us to create. The front lines of the future that we can build together, that is one built on the ground of the holy and the sacred and the love that is. Because it's love that has called you here. It is love that is calling you into a better set of intentions than maybe you've known to intend for yourself before. Obligation, performance, guilt, this is not the motivation you want to be building from. It's love is the ground I want us to stand on and listen to and be guided by as we create the possibilities that we long for. And the unique contribution you have to make in building this future. And it needs you. The spiritual rebellion, this revolutionary love, needs you rooted, grounded, rested, and awake, eyes and heart and mind open to what Spirit has designed your soul to be in this one precious life. There is a unique design in you that has been divinely gifted to you so that you may gift yourself back to life. So that you can consciously collaborate with all of life itself in kinship, courageously putting down what is not yours to carry, putting down the goals and the things that you have been told that you're supposed to want and to do, and to lay it down so that you can take up through your roots, right? Like that fruit tree. So you can pull up and be nourished from the very ground of love itself and give what is yours to give this year. So that's what this January season is for. That's what the winter season is for, is to rest under the blanket of leaves that have been provided for you to warm yourself and nourish yourself. And then to slowly pull up through your roots the right sized intention, the U-shaped gift creating that you have to give this year. Because if we want transformation in our own lives, right? If you want a transformation in your body, a transformation in your relationship, a transformation in your finances, if you want transformation for your neighborhood, your city, your communities, you and I have to be, capital B, the truth of who we are, the unique gift that we are, so that we can contribute that to one another, to the wholeness of life itself. And to do that, you must be so rooted and rested and ready and conscious of who you are. Because if you don't know the contribution you have to make, that you've been uniquely designed to make, you can't participate in the transformation you long for. If you don't know yourself as inherently connected and in kinship with the life all around you, the one life, you don't know that you are already in kinship, you are already in belonging with this wholeness, then how will you know how to collaborate with it, to create, to be a part of the transformation you long for? This is the call of our time, is to become awake and aware and conscious of what is true. To let your soul lead the way. That thing in you that has been brought to life so that you can be the creative, wondrous being that you've been designed to be. And that's the piece of you that fits into this puzzle of wholeness, of one life, the oneness. And then you get to play your part that you've been designed to play. And this is how you and I meet the chaos of these times, so that we can then co-create together the future we want to be living in. But you can't do it exhausted, my love. You can't do it disconnected, dissociated, and numb. You can't join the Holy Rebellion and be on the front lines of the future building we are on in this moment in history if you're totally depleted. You cannot bear the fruit you've been designed to bear if you are undernourished and don't actually know what is yours to contribute. You cannot collaborate with the one life and be in conscious kinship if you are disconnected. My love, the first step of living the sacred way and joining this holy rebellion needs you to accept winter's invitation to slow down, ground yourself, center yourself back into the divinity that is in you, the wisdom that is available in you to guide your steps, order the way, make the crooked way straight, and to tune back into the holy feeling in your body. This season is right on time for you to do that. And I want you, my love, to take winter's invitation so you can begin to gestate the unique creation that wants to be born in you. My darling, love whispers to you. I placed you here for divine purpose, uniquely shaped with divine gifts, and to experiment with your gifts, to play and create with these gifts. Love is whispering to you to dream, to be inspired, to move in new ways, to connect with life itself, with the beloveds in your life, in your community, to be broken open through these connections by all the beauty so that you can grow more and more into the truth of who you are. This is love's whisper this winter season. I want you to say yes. Yes, love, I'm listening. Yes, love, I am here and available to feel all you are filling me with, fulfilling me with. And how you might do that is through a rest practice. Sabbath, which comes from the Jewish tradition, means to take a sacred pause, to take a step away and return to the divine. It is an opportunity for you to remember, to come back together with the truth of yourself, the sacred way, to remember that you are whole, that you have been divinely made and gifted in these unique ways. And a practice of that is required in this time when we commit ourselves to coming back to ourselves every week. And if you can't do it for a whole day, at least find a couple of hours every week. So Sabbath is traditionally practiced by breaking bread with beloveds who know the truth of you, you are willing to be authentic and honest with. And the Sabbath begins with this meal and laughter and joy, and we sing and we light candles, and we intend to take this next stretch of time away from it all together. So that's my invitation to you. Put down your phone, put down your to-do list, put down the hustle, rest, play, dream, remember, and listen. May this message and this prayer find you exactly in the right time and moment so that you can come back to the truth of you are and join me in this holy rebellion.